Hello, I'm Mary Morrissey, and this short screencast will talk you through the process of uploading your essay electronically so that you can view the Turnitin originality report. I'll also talk a little about what help you can get from the originality report when making a final draft of your work. The first thing to remember is that there is lots of advice about online submission on the Support for Students tab on Blackboard. As you can see, there's information about online submission and information about the originality report from Turnitin, so you can always go there for extra help. In order to upload your essay, the first thing you need to do is go to the module that the essay is due. So we go to Research and Criticism and click on the Assignments folder. If we scroll down, we will see the Turnitin icon, the grey page with the red arrow, and we will see a link to View Complete. This is the link for uploading your essay. We click on this link and a new form will come up explaining when the essay is due. So we click Submit and we enter our first name and surname. The system may recognise you already from login. You will also need to give your essay a title. Because your work will be anonymised when it reaches the marker, we need a system for distinguishing one essay from the other. So we're asking you to give particular file names to your work. For this essay, we're asking you to give first the module title, EN1RC, and then, as it's the first essay, coursework 1, and then your 8-digit student number. I'm just going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Below that, there's a short disclaimer explaining that submitting your work in this way shows that you have understood the university's rules about plagiarism and are bound by them. Then you pick the place that your file is being stored. So here I'm going to choose my Google Drive and I find my assignment and I click Upload. A new screen then explains to me that the file is being prepared and I have a preview, so I can check that this is in fact the essay I want to submit. I have got the right file. Once I'm happy with that, I press Confirm and I'm told that the submission is complete. I will also receive an email explaining that I have submitted the work, and I keep this email in case there's any problem later on with the submission. I then return to the assignment list. I have the option to resubmit another draft of the essay as long as I do so more than a day before the final deadline. And to do that, I simply press the Resubmit button, and that will allow me put in my final draft. It can take up to 24 hours for the system to process a submission, and while it's processing, it will not allow a new draft be submitted. So make sure that you only submit your final draft of your work within the 24 hours before the deadline. So my essay is now submitted and I must wait for it to be processed. Once it's processed, I will be able to look at the originality report and see what the Turnitin system has prepared. I simply go back in here and press the View button. But let's have a look at one I prepared earlier. So this is an essay that I've written and I've put it through the Turnitin system. As you can see, it's shown a 13% similarity. So 13% of this essay matches strings of words that the Turnitin system has found in its database. I'm going to look through what the system has found and what it tells me about the way I wrote this essay. The first thing that we see is that the system has found a reference to an essay by Christopher Haig called The Recent Historiography of the English Reformation. It's not very surprising that somebody else has quoted this because it is a well-known essay, and if I click on the number it will bring up the other source and I can view the source fully, so I can see where someone else has used it. Now I have given the correct reference here and I've put it in inverted commas so it is clear that I'm quoting the title of the essay, so there is nothing to worry about there. As I move on, I can see that in the footnotes, it's picked up the names of the articles and the books that I have cited. Again, it's not surprising that this is in the Turnitin database because other people will have cited them too. I've made it perfectly clear that this is not my own work, that this is reference to other people's work, and that's perfectly fine. The next thing we see is a quotation in blue. Now, I have set this quotation out in indented margins. I have said that it's by Michael Quastier, so I've made it clear that this is a quotation. And it's a quotation that somebody else has used. Again, if we click on the number, it will bring up the original source, and we'll see that somebody else is quoting Michael Quastier saying this. So we're both quoting the same source. It's in the Turnitin database, and so it picked it up in my essay. But I've made it clear that this is a quotation from Michael Quastier, and there's no question of me attributing this work to myself, so it's absolutely fine. There's nothing to worry about there. Next, Turnitin has picked up a short phrase. What does it mean to be a Roman Catholic, particularly in the years before the Council of Trent? This isn't exactly a quotation, and I haven't put it as a quotation, but it is a relatively common phrase, and if we look at the source, we'll see that whoever used it before was using it in a rather different context. What did it mean to be a Roman Catholic in Elizabethan England? I've not copied them, we've just both happened to use the same expression to describe not dissimilar questions. So again, there is no question of academic misconduct here, we've both just happened to use the same phrase. As I continue to look down the Turnitin report, I see that there's a quotation from a John Donne poem, and again, somebody else has used the quotation. Here, my quotation is in inverted commas. I've made it clear that I'm quoting Donne, and there is no problem. There was a long quotation here that was not highlighted at all, a very long quotation from John Donne's sermons. These just happen to be in the Turnitin database. Nobody else has quoted this passage yet. They are now in the Turnitin database because I've quoted them, but they were not there before, and so the Turnitin system has not picked them up. Turnitin will only find strings of words that are in their database. Not everything is there, but a great deal of information is. And members of staff who are marking your essay will be looking at this material regularly, and they may often find material that Turnitin does not. So we do not depend on the system to pick up cases of copying, but we do use it to help provide data. What can I learn about my essay writing from the Turnitin report? Well, one of the things that's clear is that most of the highlighting is in the footnotes rather than in the text. There are a lot of footnotes in this essay, and I suppose I should begin to wonder if that is itself a problem. Am I relying too heavily on secondary literature? Am I asking the secondary texts to argue the case for me? Similarly, there are passages in which I quote from a Donne poem a lot, and there isn't much analysis of the Donne poem here. Perhaps I'm asking the quotations to explain themselves, and that's not good academic writing. So looking at the pattern of highlighting here makes me think about the relationship between the quoted material and my own analysis, and allow me to think about whether or not I've got that balance right. Certainly at the very end of the essay, I have a very long quotation and no analysis following it. That's not good practice. I need to analyse this quotation in detail and give a proper conclusion to my essay. So the Turnitin originality report has allowed me see that I have not accidentally copied somebody else's material as if it was my own. I'm not guilty of academic misconduct, but it's also allowed me think about the way that I'm using quotations in my essay and where perhaps I am too reliant on other quotations from other scholars, and where I need to add more analysis to my quotation from primary sources so that I balance out the quotation and the analysis of quotation in my use of literary texts. And in that respect, the Turnitin originality report is more than a plagiarism check. It is a way of helping us think about the way we use sources in our academic writing. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.